Check it out. Here's a sports mural I just painted in my customer's home, and if you're wondering how I did it, here's how. So here's the room before. It's in a sports room beside the pool table. So there's 4 family members, and each one got to pick their favorite athlete, and that's how I determined it. So I always do a concept sketch first, and they approved. See if you can guess who I'm painting here. So my process is almost usually the same. I paint from background to foreground. So I've blocked out the background, usually with a brush, and then I'll go into the roller and paint the background colors. So you'll see those colors there. Now the pool table is a dark blue, and there's some dark blue accents as well. So that's how I incorporated the blue there. And if you can't tell yet, the purple for the Raptors. So moving along here, I've started on the skin tones, and skin tones are many layers. I start with a base tone of a peach color, and then I'll move on to the darker shades as I go along. I almost always work background to foreground and light colors to dark. So you see Auston Matthews there, he's mostly done, his skin tones are mostly done. Vince Carter is mostly done at this stage. And here I'm using a brush. I use a lot of airbrush, but I also use brushes because use what the tools are best for. If you want a solid line, just pick up a brush. That's what a brush is good for. Airbrush is great for blending, and you can see me using the airbrush here. So I've done a base coat on this basketball of an orange. Now I'm doing the highlights, and I'll do the shadows, and then I'll do the detail. And here's the finished basketball. Pretty convincing. So I'm working on the skin tones here. So you can see light colors to dark colors, all shading. I'm using an airbrush here. Some handheld masks and freehand, and the tape is just to get a hard line. I'm going to go over the white part with the dark purple, so it's not going to matter if there's a little bit of overspray. Always wear your mask when you're spraying, of course, even though it's water-based paint, doesn't matter. This is probably my favorite part. I love working on the skin tones and building up the 3D aspect of it with shades and highlights. I will do final highlights near the end, but most of them are already established. I just did use a little bit of white on top, of buffered white with a little bit of orange, which that's a whole other topic altogether. And notice how there's an indent in the wall, and I wanted to utilize that space. And so I picked the best viewing angle, and that's why I put Josh Allen in there, so he fits and utilizes all the wall space and not get distorted. So at this stage, the skin tones are pretty much done. Joe Carter needs a shade darker. I will do that after. But now it's on to the uniforms. So you can see once again, I'm using the brush just to get my outlines. Okay, and then I'm going to fill it in with a larger brush. Get a pretty solid base coat. And then I'm going to airbrush the shadows and highlights on top of that. So this is how it looks flat without any shading, and then stay tuned right now. So here is the finished product. And yeah, it looks, I'm really happy with this one of my favorite ones ever. I really like the color scheme. I love the choices they picked. Here's Josh Allen, which is his favorite NFL player. Even though we're in Toronto, a lot of love for the Bills here. We don't have an NFL team. And bonus points for you if you could find where I hid my signature. I always sign my work often small in the corner, but if I can incorporate it into the wall that makes some kind of sense, I much prefer to do that. So if you can see it, let me know in the comments below and where it is. So here's the room before, and here's the after. It totally transforms the space in a really unique way. So what would you do on your wall? If you enjoyed this and want to see more, please like and subscribe.